We're out here today in one of Jacksonville's newest and hottest communities, about to check out this model home right behind me. And you're not going to believe some of the features that the builder put into this model. So we're going to go over all of that and more right now. All right, let's get started with this one. And boy, is this going to be a fun one in my opinion for you. So right away, when we come up to the front of this house, you're going to notice we have a nice, good sized front porch, which is not something that you're always going to get with every floor plan. So I like to always bring that up because it just really allows you to maximize not just the inside of the house, but also the outside. In addition, as we come in, you're going to notice up top, we have a nice wood inlay for the ceiling. It gives a very custom feel and just really accentuates the space, really does maximize the look of it for when you have guests over as well. Then as we come into the home, right away, we're greeted with a nice open entryway, nice open foyer. And this foyer is really cool in the fact that they did more of a tile pattern for it. In the tile, I mean, it's a really large tile and it looks really good the way that they designed it and how it blends with all the other choices they have in this house. In addition, we have this different style wood inlay ceiling, almost a little more of a rustic look. And this rustic feel, we don't see that often across the board. So again, if you want to know what floor plan, what builder, or where we're at today for this house, call, text, email me so we can go over all that as well. Because again, you're not going to miss a minute of this home tour. And as we continue to move through the home tour, I do want to highlight that we have smooth walls here, which is a nice bonus throughout the whole house. It then leads us to our first bedroom. And this is a bedroom. However, the builder has designed this space to almost be more of a wine area, whiskey bar, so to speak, because what they did, and again, it's a great size space. You're going to notice too that we now have solid wood, hardwood floors, which is a really nice touch. But you're going to notice they ended up converting what would normally be your closet. They ended up converting to a dry bar over here. So again, if you're a whiskey connoisseur, butchered that word, but I think you get the point, or a wine, connoisseur. In general, this gives you an idea of what you use with the space. And a couple of things that are very unique is they actually did more of a rounded top to it, which gives it, again, a high-end feel, if you ask me. Just really gives it a very distinct feel that is not typically a standard. So that would be an upgrade if you want to do it with the builder, but it really does kind of give it a very cool look across the board. Then it takes us to our first bathroom. And this first bathroom, which is our downstairs bathroom, we have a nice single vanity. They did some darker countertops to go with the brown cabinets. We're back to that tile that was in the foyer. Nice, good sized sink as well. And it takes us into our shower, which is a seamless glass shower. We now start to get some of that gold hardware that has become super popular in today's world here in Northeast Florida. And then the tile is really nice too with how it goes up to the ceiling. And again, it continues that darker pattern with the tile on the walls and also tile on the floor, which is a step down to ensure that we keep all the water inside the shower. Because again, something like that may not seem like a big deal to you, but when you're building a house or when you're buying a new construction house, those things matter because once a home gets designed that way, it tends to take a lot of time or money to redesign it if you want it like that. So again, having the right person in your court to ensure that you're getting all the right questions answered from the builder and asking the right questions is super important. In addition, we're now in the laundry room where we do have our cabinets up top, which is going to be an upgrade, but something that I would always suggest to do if it's something you want. We do have our cabinets below, as well as the same countertops that we had in the bathroom. We do have our nice deep sink in there, which is something that's not always a given, but I do like seeing that as well. And then they finished it off with a side-by-side washer dryer, front loader. You could do a top loader as well. But this side-by-side, these appliances, a lot of times will be an upgrade with the builder. So again, if you're someone who, has your own appliances, you could save some money with not needing a washer, a dryer, or even a fridge. But again, those are things that you may not always think about when you first start the process. So as we're walking through this, if there's questions you have as far as the process for buying a home, for working with a builder here in the Jacksonville, Florida area, call, text, email me. It's gonna be on the screen, or in the description of the video will be a link to my calendar where we can meet face-to-face or through Zoom to kind of go over all of that. Then we come over to our garage. Before we do the garage, I do like how they did this custom built in here for this drop zone. Typically, this is going to just be an empty space for your standards for this floor plan. But again, this is something that you want. This builder, who is a local builder here in Jacksonville, Florida, could do it for you as well. Personally, I like the look of that. It's something you can do after the fact as well. So if you want to know what you should do during the build or after, I can help walk you through all that. But in general, it's just nice to have that when you come in from your garage. Now the garage here, as you'll see, it's a nice wide garage. It's going to be a 3-car garage in essence, but only a 2-car garage door. Sometimes that's due to the way the layout is designed. Sometimes the developer requires the builder to do it that way as well, because they may only allow you to have a 2-car garage from the street, as far as what you can see from the street. In addition here, we do have those wood floors continuing throughout, which again, I really like. It just adds a whole lot of warmth to the space, still keeps that light and bright feel. And the wood has really, it's never really lost its desirability. It's still very desirable across the board. Then we have our half bath here for guests, which is really nice because it really allows every other bathroom to be truly for the occupants. But this half bath is very nicely designed. It's really all you need, nothing too crazy with it, but really just a nice look overall. And you'll notice too with the trim around the house, we have the 7-inch baseboard, which is going to be an upgrade a lot of times, but always something to consider. And then the trim around it as well is more of that craftsman style trim. So this trim is all done on site, which doesn't increase the cost, but it does also provide a much nicer product. Then we have our stairwell going upstairs, which we're about to check out. But with the stairwell, they actually continue the same wood floors for all the treads going up, not just for the tops, but also for the fronts, which is not always something you're gonna see across the board. Again, an upgrade, but one of those things to always think about when you're building your own custom house or semi-custom house. And then they did include the open railing here going up too to make it feel a little more open versus just the standard drywall. So again, just some really cool features, things that I like to try to highlight because they are upgrades, but in my opinion, upgrades well worth considering when you are moving and living here in Jacksonville, Florida. But let's go upstairs now. Now that we're upstairs, right away when you come up, you're gonna see that they actually give you a nice little storage area. So one thing about when you live here in Jacksonville, Florida is, we don't have basements here, being the fact that, we have such a low or high water table. So any storage you can get is always a great thing because it's one of those things, even if you don't necessarily need it now, you'll need it at some point. But then as we continue through, we get to our first bedroom. And this bedroom here, it's a really nice sized space, but what really kind of makes it stand apart, and again, this is gonna be an upgrade, but something to, if you like, again, always good to at least find out what it's gonna cost you. But the builder on this actually did do a nice wood inlay for the ceiling. So it just kind of breaks up that monotony of just the drywall ceiling and definitely changes the look and feel of it. In addition, as you can see here, we have a full-size bed. We have nightstands on each side. We also have a dresser here. And then we do have our standard closet here. And the closet does have the bifolds. If you've watched my videos, I don't necessarily love the bifolds just because they are more susceptible to maybe breaking than say like a slider or French doors. But, it is still a nice space. And we still get some really great ceiling height here as well, despite being on the 2nd story, which is not always common. Then we come into our first bathroom. And this bathroom here, I love the fact that they actually only did the single vanity. And the reason for that is sometimes you may say, hey, I want a double vanity, but you end up losing so much countertop space that it's not as much of a usable vanity as you'd hope for. But this vanity, they did a really nice white quartz countertop with some brown and gold speckled to kind of go with the gold hardware. They did a little different color on the cabinetry, still all soft close, very high end. The cabinets, they go pretty much to the ends, which again, kind of gives off that high end feel. Tile choice they did here is also really distinct, not slick at all kind of tile. So I do actually like that look. And it takes us to our shower tub combo, which again, you always wanna make sure you have at least one tub, in the home. So having one upstairs is always a good kind of start, so to speak. But with this, we do have our niche in here for our soaps, our shampoos and all that. They did do the tile up to the ceiling again. And then this pattern is actually kind of a nice pattern as well. Very simplistic in a way, but also very clean and elegant the way that's designed. In addition, you can't see it here, but there is a door behind this door. That's gonna give you a linen closet. So again, they really have thought about everything when it comes to how to design this specific floor plan, which I love when builders think through that. From there, it's gonna take us to an area of the house that, in my opinion, is always well needed when you have a 2-story home, and that's gonna be your loft. And this is a very good sized loft. It really does give you a lot to work with. And what this space is great for is, let's say you have a larger family and let's say you have kids who like to entertain and have their friends over, this could be a space for them. Or let's say that you want to maybe have more like a movie room. You could make this the movie room for you and the family to be able to hang out, watch movies in, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of options up here. And I actually like too, the builder did do like a little seating area up against the windows. So if you're someone who has cats, you may appreciate that, because again, the cats, they love to look outside, so it kind of gives them an area to be able to, hang out and, enjoy, the house just as much as you enjoy the house. But again, this floor plan, one of my favorites that I've seen, especially in this neighborhood, which is, as I mentioned, or may have mentioned, is the newest and one of the hottest neighborhoods here in Jacksonville, Florida right now. So just a lot of things positive with that, but this is one of the best plans I've seen so far. As far as for this bedroom, it's going to be a little bit bigger than the last bedroom, identified with having more of that queen size bed. We still have the end tables, still have our standard size closet. We do still have a dresser here, so similar size everything, but this one's obviously bigger with the larger nightstands and also the larger bed. In addition, the builder did do carpet throughout the whole second story, but that's something that you don't want. The cool thing about this builder is they have not just built from the ground up where you can choose to have no carpet, you can pick and choose the finishes, but also if you can't wait and you have to get into your next house ASAP, this builder does build quite a bit of inventory, spec, or showcase homes to be able to buy at a much quicker timeline where everything has already been chosen. Now, as far as for this bedroom, if you've ever needed a space, let's say you have family living with you, maybe a mom, maybe a dad, maybe a grandma, grandpa, maybe you have more of an adult child or a teenager and you want them to have their own bathroom, a space that they can feel like is their own, then this floor plan can give you that. And obviously the bedroom, it's a good size. It's the smallest bedroom so far for reference. Still get great natural light. We still have the dresser there, still have some really small nightstands. It is still a queen size bed. So the bedroom size is a little bit on the smaller side, but what you do get is something that the other bedrooms can't give you, which is your own dedicated bathroom. So that way you're not having to share with the other bedrooms. So if you have, let's say you have kids, and let's say 2 of them are a little bit younger and the other one's maybe a teenager, and you want the teenager to feel like they have their own space, this could be a great space for them. Now, this bathroom does still have the seamless glass as well. And what's really cool with this one is it actually just has a nice simple walk-in into it. So you're not stepping up, not stepping down. That is something that you don't always find with every builder. So the fact that this builder does that, I think is really cool. Some downsides, you could have a little more water flow coming out. So it's something to keep in mind. But in general, I love what they did with this design, and they kind of changed it up too. So you have 2 different tiles, same color, but different patterns. So definitely interesting. Let me know what you think about it. For me, I'm just happy that they went to the ceiling with it, because that is an upgrade, but always worth it. And then, they did finish it off with some nice quartz countertops. And again, you can't see it here, but this is gonna be a standard linen closet. So in general, what did you think about that second floor, or this second floor? Me personally, again, if I have a family, a larger family, I had multiple kids, this could be a great use of the space, for them. But again, it still gets better because we have only just touched the surface of what this floor plan has to offer. So again, we're gonna go downstairs now, we're gonna check out the kitchen, living, dining, primary, backyard, all that good stuff. And then we're also gonna dive into just where we're at today. Again, what this floor plan is called, the price of it, and also any incentives that the builder is currently offering in this neighborhood. So let's get downstairs now. Now that we're back downstairs, we're gonna start off with the kitchen. And as we go in the kitchen, I do wanna highlight that this builder did smooth walls, and they also did smooth ceilings, which you do not find with most builders across the board here in the area. So again, that is a upgrade that if they offer it, I actually would suggest, unless the cost is absurd, to do it. But as far as the kitchen, I mean, let's just do a quick pan here. I mean, this is a massive size kitchen. This home is located on a 60-foot wide home site, so you have more space to work with, obviously. But I mean, you have a massive island, tons of countertop and cabinet space. has a beautiful view of our living room. So again, if you're someone who wants a more open floor plan, you get that with the kitchen, the living, the dining, so it's something that is fairly highly sought after. So I do like that they incorporate a lot of that. But as we get back to the kitchen, what you'll also notice here is, we have our microwave oven combo right here. They did the higher end oven as well with it. But next to it is actually what would be our pantry. Now, keep in mind, this is gonna be a lot of upgrades I'm about to go over, but the builder did upgrade their pantry space. They got rid of the door here. They did more of a circular top to this area to just really highlight it. But in here, they did a lot of cabinets that are also all soft close. They did quartz countertops, so they really maximized the space and the look to really give it a high-end feel. Now, would you do this with your house? Maybe you would. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you would if the cost made sense. Again, if you want to go over all that and figure out if it does make sense, just reach out to me with a call, text, email, and we can kind of figure out what that looks like. But then as we continue through the rest of the kitchen, you're gonna notice that they actually did a two-tone countertop. So they did a more kind of, not standard, but a more basic in a sense, white countertop for the island with a little bit of movement. And then they really crushed the movement. And again, the movement being the textures, the colors used in the quartz. They really maximized it on the back wall of the kitchen. And for the backsplash, they continued that quartz for the whole backsplash too, which is not cheap, definitely an upgrade, but really does give it a very cool look across the board. In addition, we do have, again, tons of pull-out storage space. You can never have too much of that. All of it soft closed. They did the cabinets up to the ceiling. With the cabinets too, they also did some glass for the cabinets up top, so it becomes more of a focal point, more of a piece to be able to put stuff up there to really highlight the space when you have guests over. And then we get to our gas stovetop, and it's a 6-burner cafe stovetop. Now, it is a gas community. In general, most new construction here in Jacksonville, Northeast Florida is going to be in gas communities, but it's not always gonna be the case across the board. And a lot of pre-existing homes don't have gas. So I do like to always highlight that because we get a lot of people from up north or out west that like to have those gas appliances. So it's important to know when you're looking at different homes, which ones give you that, and which ones don't. In addition, the builder did the gourmet kitchen, so they do have the nice vented hood top up top, and they finished it off with this pot filler here. And the pot filler is one of those things that it is gonna be an upgrade, it's gonna cost more. It may not be something that you're gonna use on a day-to-day basis, but again, if that's something that you want, you definitely wanna do that during the build because it's gonna be a lot more pricey. It's gonna be a lot more of a mess to do it after the fact. Then, as we get back to the island, again, it's a massive island across the board. It has tons of countertop space. It's just a great space for entertaining. You have ability to be able to have more of an eat-in kitchen with it as well. But the island here, they finished it off with a nice deep singular sink. And this is that newer composite kind of material sink that we're starting to see more often from builders. Whereas we're seeing less of that stainless steel and porcelain, and we're seeing more of that composite, which just holds up super well. So that's why it's become so popular. So again, let me know, what do you think about this kitchen? I personally love it, but I'd love to know your thoughts as well, as it then takes us to our dining room. Now the dining room is kind of tucked in a little bit, so even though it's an open concept floor plan, at least the dining room, it does have some separation. But with the dining room, we have tons of natural light. We have some transom windows up top. We have some additional windows off the back. We have our single door to the backyard. So again, if you wanted to have a pool back there, or just you want to have an additional access point, you could do that. But the dining room, it's a good sized space. I mean, this is a very wide 6-seater table. You don't necessarily have to go that wide, but again, you could easily go longer with it, make it an 8-seater table, and you're not gonna feel like you're out of space. You're not gonna feel tight. So I do like to see that. I personally like when builders put bigger tables there because it does kind of show you, the audience, what you can do with the space and just how much space you really have. So again, I like when they do that, for instance. In addition, as we finish off the kitchen, I do want to highlight too that the builder in this case, they did do the additional pantry or additional cabinet space underneath the island. So again, if you need a lot of storage, they can do it. And again, if you want to know who they are, I'm going to mention it later in this video along with the price and incentives. But if you don't want to wait, call, text, email me right now, and I'll give you that right this second. Then we get to our living room. In the living room, again, we have these massive ceilings. These are 12-foot ceilings. If you ever want to know how tall the ceilings are in most of these houses, you typically have to be at least 12 feet or more to have the transom windows over the sliding glass doors. So there's your lesson of the day. But as far as the living room, it's a great size. I mean, tons of space here, tons of couches you can put here, as highlighted what they've done with the space. And then they finished it off with this built-in fireplace here. In the fireplace, it's gonna be, this one's electric, but you could do electric or gas. Again, it's gonna be an upgrade, but something the builder could do. And it really just accentuates the space. You know, they chose a wall tile that kind of matches the countertops in the kitchen. So it kind of blends in super nicely. You know, the mantle kind of goes with the flooring. So just very well thought out and something that you could do if you desired. Now, if you don't want that though, you also don't have to pay for that. So you're not stuck, you know, paying for something that you don't necessarily want. So again, I love this layout. It's such a unique and distinct feel throughout the home with some of the finishes that the builder chose that we don't see very often. And it's gonna continue into the primary, but before we go and check that out, let's check out the backyard real quick so you can see what that has to offer. So coming outside, right away, you're gonna notice we have a lot of space to work with. Part of that's by design with being a 60-foot wide lot, but you also see out here that the builder really wanted to maximize the feel. And so with this floor plan, they gave us a really big covered back porch. And this porch, I mean, it is, or patio, depending on how you wanna call it, it is under the same roof line as the rest of the house. So that's not always the case. Now, typically it will be the case, but by having it to the same roof line, it just allows you to keep that same ceiling height. And in this case with the ceiling, you'll see here that they continued that wood inlay that we saw when we first came into the house. They matched it back here. So they kept it super uniform, which I actually think is a good idea for a home like this. In addition, they do have water hookup here if you wanted to do a summer kitchen or small, you know, sink out here. So you could do that up against the wall, but you don't have to, because with these layouts, with these lot sizes, you typically will have additional space out here to do your summer kitchen outside as well. Oh, and keep in mind too, this is not screened in, but if you want to screen it in, you definitely could. That's something that the builder can do, or you can do after the fact as well, so you do have those options. But back here, the builder definitely, you know, kind of maximized the look, so we do have a little bit of a lounging area. We have our outdoor kitchen here where they did the granite countertops. We also have, this is actually a tile to look like wood, you know, for the walls, just to kind of give it, again, a higher end feel. You know, we have tons of storage. We have our mini fridge here. We have our Coyote gas grill. Now keep in mind, a lot of these builders, they do work with tier 1 pools. And so if you do an outdoor kitchen, a lot of times you're gonna be using tier 1 pools for the outdoor appliances. And Coyote just seems like it's their, you know, brand of choice lately. So in general, we do see that quite a bit for a lot of these model homes. In addition to the gas grill, we also do have a 2-burner gas stovetop out here, again, still Coyote. So a lot of different options there if you need to bring a pot out here to you know, boil something or whatever the case may be. Trash is here as well. And then again, even though we have the gas grill, we do also still have our charcoal Coyote grill as well. So you have just some different options depending on what you're trying to cook and what you're trying to grill out with. Then lastly, we do have this sitting area over here. You know, it's going to include not one, but I believe 2 gas fire pits. So again, if you're someone who wants to entertain, this is truly an entertainer's dream and paradise, because it really does give a space for everybody and still keeps everything, you know, super close together, but not feeling close together, if that makes sense. But in general, I do like the finishes the builder chose back here. And again, this is something that you could do if it's something that you desired. You have to just, again, you know, make sure you have the right floor plan and have a good idea of, you know, what it'll cost you, which I can help you with all of that. So let's go check out the primary bedroom next. All right, so I wanted to save the best for last, and I think that you'll agree with me once you see the space. But coming into our primary bedroom, the builder definitely did do some amazing things with the space. First of all, they actually pushed this window out to create more of a bay window, which allows a lot of natural light in. It also gives you a little bit of extra space to be able to have some seats here. So if you want to create like a little book nook area, if you want to create a little area to just be able to sit, you know, enjoy your day before you go to lay in bed, doing that bay window gives you that. In addition, as you can see, this is a massive primary bedroom. You know, this is one of the larger primaries that you'll see typically in this neighborhood. And, you know, they did some additional things to it to really still make it stand out that much more, such as the tray ceiling. So this tray ceiling, it just really pops at you. And part of the reason why it does that is not only did they do the recessed lighting throughout it, but they also did the tray in a different color. So again, they continued that color on the accent wall over here, that almost like greenish gray. They continue it with the tray, so it kind of pairs together very well and offsets with the other wall colors throughout the home. And then of course, we still have our nice wood floors. This is a nice, great size, king size bed. I mean, massive nightstands. I mean, tell me where you see nightstands that big typically. So again, it just kind of highlights, you know, the amount of space you have here to work with. Then it's gonna take us to our primary bathroom. Our primary bathroom, they do separate it. So, you know, you do have the ability to have that pocket door here just for some separation. But as we come into the primary, I mean, right away, I mean, look at these vanities. I mean, the countertops, I mean, just a beautiful color choice that they did with the countertops. We still have those brown cabinets, you know, the really thick looking quartz. And then again, you have a his and hers here as well with the square sinks and the gold hardware. So it just really gives a very high-end feel across the board. We also have our primary closet there, which we'll get to in just one moment. But then we have the his, you know, vanity. And then we also have our nice big soaker tub, which is becoming very popular again nowadays. They did more of a sleek looking tile here, almost like a marbly look, but at the same time, it's not, you know, too slick or anything. And even if it is, they designed the shower to be a step down. So that way, again, when you come in here, you know, most of that water is gonna be contained within the shower. It's still a really good size. You know, they have just a single head here. You have a little area here that you can put soaps and shampoos. We also have your little niche here for that as well. And then again, your shower handle is right next to the entryway, so you can turn the shower on and wait for the water to get hot. But once the water is hot, you'll never lose it because this is a tankless gas water heater. So it may take a second, but once you have that hot water, you'll never lose it. In addition, as I've referenced a couple times, they did do the tile up to the ceiling. So just again, they didn't leave anything to chance here. They really did maximize everything with this model. And they could do the same thing for you on your home. Then finally, we get to our primary closet. And as you can see here, there's a lot of custom cabinets in here, custom closets. You know, this is not gonna be a standard, this will be an upgrade. But at the same time, you could do this after the fact too, if you so chose. But overall, it's a great size and it, you know, does come pretty deep into here. So this is truly a walk-in closet, something that you know, I don't think you would have an issue with from a space standpoint. So have we seen bigger? We have, but generally, this is one of the larger closets we've seen across the board. So just something to take into account. But overall, you know, it's a great ensuite. It's really what you know, I would look for if I was buying a home right this second myself from a layout standpoint. And again, the fact that you do get this massive primary just gives you that place to be able to come to at the end of the day and, you know, be able to get some good sleep, be able to, you know, prepare for that next day and be able to enjoy, you know, living here in Jacksonville, because that's a big piece of when people move here is to be able to enjoy their home, but also enjoy the nature that comes with it when you live in Florida. So that being said though, let's now talk about where we're at today, the builder, the price, the floor plan, all that good stuff, and really kind of explain just why this is that next big community that people are constantly talking about here. So now that wraps up our walk through this amazing floor plan, you know, I want to highlight just why, you know, where we're at today is super important to know about. And that's because we are in the Everrange master plan community, and specifically we're in the Mariposa neighborhood or section of Everrange. Now, if you're not familiar with Everrange, Everrange is the newest community here in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's located right off of US 1, so it's very conveniently located to the highway. You know, you can be very quickly from here, you can be very quickly to the St. John's Town Center, which is where a lot of people spend their time. You know, you could also be to the beach within 20-25 minutes. You can be at the airport in 45-50 minutes or less without traffic. And from downtown, you know, we're only about 30-40 minutes tops. So it's a very convenient location, but that's not all. In addition, this community is being developed by the Park Group, and the Park Group is well known throughout the area because they developed all of Nocatee as well as E-Town. Now, Nocatee is kind of the community that a lot of people start their search on when it comes to moving to Northeast Florida and Jacksonville. And a big reason for that is they do also have some amazing school systems there, but also not just with the school systems, but they also kept a lot of it natural. So rather than it being just a true clear-cut, you know, community across the board, you know, all the trees have been removed, the Park Group is very big on keeping a lot of the areas more natural, and that resonates with a lot of people who live here because that's a big piece for why people live and move to Jacksonville, is to be kind of a part of nature and to have those developed trees. So that's why a lot of people I talk to like to move to this area. Schools, the natural element, a lot of the nature that you can do around here. But in general, this community is going to be that next big community that people are going to be moving to. Now, as far as where we're at for this specific builder and floor plan, this is actually a Providence Homes built floor plan. And Providence Homes is a local home builder to the Jacksonville, Florida area. So they take a lot of pride in what they do, and they do a great job throughout the build process to ensure that any of your questions are answered and to ensure that you get the best home you can for the best price possible. So it's not to say that other builders don't do that, but Providence definitely does focus on that as well. And a lot of times it is nice that when you're working with them, you are working with a more local company, because not every builder here is local. We have a lot of national home builders as well here in Everrange, but also throughout the Northeast Florida, Jacksonville area as well. But as far as Providence, some things that they do differently that I didn't highlight on this video. One thing that really sets them apart is on all their homes and all their communities, as a standard, they actually do a spray foam insulation for the attic space. So those attics stay cool year round, and they just help provide much better utility bills because of the fact that it's not taking as much to heat and cool the space due to that spray foam. So it's a huge saving, so to speak, and you get that as a standard with them. In addition, they do the smooth walls, they do the smooth ceilings. Those may not always be standards, they could be upgrades, but to get smooth walls, you don't find very often, so I like to always highlight that. As far as for this model home, for this floor plan though, this is their Morrison floor plan, and their Morrison floor plan it has a lot to like, and I like a lot of aspects about it. The fact that you do still get the 3-car tandem garage, so it's really just a 2-car from the street, but it does have 3 cars of space within it, I think is huge. That's a big bonus that you can only get once you go to a 60-foot wide lot. But on top of that, it's a 5-bedroom floor plan. It's a 4.5 bath floor plan, the way that they designed this model. So that also is a very big benefit to be able to have, is to have that upstairs mini primary, so to speak, to go with your downstairs primary, and you still have that bedroom bathroom in the front as well. So again, if you have a larger family, this could be a great plan for you. And it also, the way that it was today, this specific model sits around 3,335 square feet. So it's one of the largest homes you can build here in Mariposa, because Mariposa does have limits on just how large you can go for this section within Everrange. So if you want to know what those limits are, definitely let me know so we can go over all of that in more detail with a call, a text, and email to ensure that you have all your questions answered and find the right neighborhood for you and your family. But then again, the thing you really probably want to know is, what's the price of this model, Justin, and what's the incentives that the builder is currently offering? Well, keep in mind, price and incentives constantly change. So what I'm telling you right this second may not be what it is a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. So if you want to know what those are right this second, call me right now or text me or email me. Or again, there'll be a link in the description of this video that you can schedule time to meet with me, that we can go over all of that. But the current incentives, they do vary. Right now, if you buy a inventory home with them, they are offering $30,000 towards rate buy downs and closing cost concessions if you use their preferred lender. And if you build with them, they also increase those concessions to also give you some funds to use towards design center as well, to pick finishes such as countertops like these for your next house. Then the price. Again, subject to change. So if you want to know what it is right this second, call me. But currently, the price on the Morrison is coming in around $812,940. So roughly $813,000. And that's not going to include your lot premium. It's not going to include your design or structural options. So that price could definitely balloon up into that $900,000 to $1 million range to get it the way that we saw here today. But again, to get everything you want in the home the way it is designed here, in my opinion, that's a very fair number based off the fact of where we're at today, the fact that the neighborhood is so new, and the fact that Providence does a great job with their design standpoint for their floor plans. So that's really about it. Again, if you have any questions about this one, or if you want to see others just like this here on our channel, at the end of this video will be a link, or will be a pop-up to some of our other model homes here in the Everrange community. So check those out as well. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys again in our next video.